Alitalia pressing on the government for furlough. And the EU procedure is ready. The government has to decide about the furlough of new airline workers, and some help could come from the EU. The summary in the report.
The European Commission has formalized that the €900 million, granted in 2017 by Premier Gentiloni, were state aid not compatible with EU regulations. Commissioner Vestager, however, would have spent at the request of the government to slow down official communications, avoiding blocking the birth of ITA. 5 years have passed, and only now it seems that the investigation into the bridging loan granted in 2017, by the government of Paolo Gentiloni to Alitalia, is back in the news. Now as definitive as specified by the European Commission. But the fact is that the EU procedure is given the right, to Mario Draghi's government, to pass a rule on the sale of the former Alitalia without transferring even the workers, and that trade union tensions are skyrocketing. As reported by the British newspaper Financial Times, after 3 years of investigation, Brussels has announced the conclusion that public financial support has played against the competition in the skies of the old continent. There is no doubt that for Italy, the decision of Brussels is a blow which indirectly helps the government to justify the hard line taken by the public company ITA with the unions, in requesting cuts in the salaries of employees between 30 and 40%. To impose ultimatums on trade unions and finally proceed with hiring without agreements with trade organizations. On the one hand, the loan of €900 million granted to the national airline in 2017 is illegal and must be recovered. On the other hand, ITA Airline has a green light to take off, and being in clear discontinuity with Alitalia, it does not inherit the problems. Therefore it is not required to repay that illegal aid. Meanwhile, Palazzo Chigi will reactivate the furlough in favor of Alitalia workers, albeit in measured forms. The government then is working on a rule that allows an orderly handover between ITA and Alitalia, surely the target of the knockout blow. At the end of yesterday's Council of Ministers, Andrea Orlando vigorously asked Minister of Economy Daniele Franco to renew the redundancy fund. The Democratic Party and the Lega are also pressing on Franco, attentive to the protests of Alitalia workers. Finally, Leu and part of the Cinque Stelle make themselves heard, while Fratelli d'Italia wants Prime Minister Mario Draghi to report to the chambers. The demands of the unions, however, are judged over the top. It is difficult for the government to extend the cash until 2025 in the face of a request from the Alitalia commissioners limited to a single year, until September 22, 2022, and it is almost impossible for Draghi to give the green light to a subsidy like the one in 2008 when the staff collected up to 80% of the salary. An intermediate fall point is worked. Minister Orlando also wants those Alitalia employees who are recipients of the cash and not employed by ITA to continue to train. Europe will impose on Alitalia to return €1.3 billion. It is money that governments have turned over to the company, in structural deficit, between 2017 and 2019, now branded as state aid, contrary to EU law. Precisely for this reason, the government is thinking of inserting a rule in a forthcoming decree that prevents Alitalia from having to put its hand on the wallet until 14 October, the date on which it will cease operations. This will ensure an orderly transition from Alitalia to ITA, while otherwise, Alitalia could find itself bankrupt.